We are officially starting, and I am Joanne Jaffe. I'm the founder of OG Yoga. I started OG Yoga as a nonprofit organization 5 years ago to heal trauma, rebuild lives, and positively impact individuals who have experienced poverty and or homelessness, incarceration and parole and probation, disability and disease, our youth, which is our future, and our sages, which are our seniors. So we're doing this with the 5,000-year-old art and science of yoga. I want to introduce the OG Yoga presentation team. Katie is here. Should something go wrong with me technically, she's ready to step in. And Brock and Jim are manning a chat room for us, and we'll try to help you along the way. I would love for this to be an interactive and engaging session. So anytime you have a question, please bring it to the chat room, and Jimmy and Brock can help you as we move. And later on, we'll leave 10 minutes at the end for Q&A as well, led by Katie. And Becky's on the team if there's any technical issues, which I'm manifesting that there are none. My intention today is to provide you with a radical new awareness of yoga and how it works to calm the fluctuations of the mind, how it reconnects us to our body, our thoughts, our sensations, our emotions, and our soul without judgment. With the practice of self-inquiry, which is at the core of yoga, we learn to befriend ourselves, to nurture ourselves, and practice unconditional love and forgiveness for ourselves and others, of course. Oh, and I would be remiss if I weren't transparent about the side effects of practicing yoga. It will increase your strength, it will increase your flexibility, and it will increase your balance. Those are the side effects. The real journey of yoga is the inward journey to know thyself. Trauma doesn't just affect vulnerable populations. Trauma can strike any one of us if we happen to be in the wrong place. The mass Las Vegas shootings, for instance, several years ago. We now all are on the trauma spectrum with the COVID-19 pandemic. We are faced with uncertainty and not having a say about what is happening in our lives. The global pandemic is taking a toll on our body, our mind, and our soul. We're going to engage in 3 practices today. One will be a breathwork practice to ground and create present moment awareness. It'll be a tool that you can take away with you. The second one will be a chair yoga practice to reconnect with your body and invite space for new perspective. And the third one will be a guided meditation to let go, to surrender, and to deeply rest. I'm going to now share my screen with you. And for those who came in a little later, welcome. Hopefully you can all see this. Our collective trauma with COVID-19 pandemic. Like all trauma survivors, we have no say in what is happening in our lives. We may have lost loved ones. We take calculated risks each day to go about our lives. We are living in our fight, flight, and freeze nervous system, which affects us negatively in many ways. It's a nervous system designed to keep us alive, but if we're primarily in that one system and not balancing our systems, it will negatively impact our immune system, our mental health, and our physical well-being. The pandemic and its associated chronic stressors. Okay, Katie, this isn't, I'm not able to scroll down on the slideshow. Ah, here we go. False alarm. Sorry about that. The pandemic and its associated chronic stressors have serious mental health consequences of experiencing distress, unresolved grief, and isolation. Isolation can lead to depression, and for many, depression can lead to suicidal ideation. This is quite serious. We know that we store trauma in our bodies, and we need to release trauma through our bodies, physically, somatically, and that's where yoga comes in. What have you suppressed to make it through your day in today's environment? Add economic loss, a polarized political race, and the social justice revolution, and the stressors and challenges multiply. So how do we find comfort and safety and peace? With our breath. It's something that we all share. It's something that we all do, and we can't live without for more than 6 minutes. Breath work, the Sanskrit word is pranayama. It's life force. And if we can plug in our awareness to our life force, to our breath, we can self-regulate our nervous systems and our emotions and sensations. Intentional breath work balances our two nervous systems. Inhaling is our fight, flight, and freeze, and exhaling is our restoration and digestion, and keeps us present in the present moment where all is well. So we're going to do our first practicum now. So I want you to get comfortable in your chair, and you're invited, if you want to do any of these practicums laying down, whatever makes you comfortable. And that's an important tenet of trauma-informed yoga. You make decisions about your body and what it needs. So if we're seated, let's scoot back in that chair. Let's part our knees about hips distance. Let's plant the soles of our feet in the earth. Let's sit firmly in that chair. Let's roll back our shoulders, open our heart, engage the core a little to protect the back of the spine. If you're comfortable, I'd invite you to close your eyes. If you're not comfortable closing your eyes, find a drishti or a focal point out in front of you, a point of concentration. Place your palms up on your thighs. This invites energy. I'd like you to envision the process of your eyes turning inward towards your soul or your heart center, to take an inward journey. I'd like to invite you to grow roots from the bottoms of the soles of your feet, through your shoes, socks, through your shoes, through the floor. Envision that rooting. Root those two sit bones, sit up straight. If it's comfortable, constrict the back of the throat, making the opening just a little bit smaller. We're going to inhale through the nose, and we're going to exhale through the nose. This is called the Ujjayi breath. It's the most universal breath in yoga. And we're going to balance out long inhales with long exhales. So we're going to inhale to the count of 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're going to exhale 2, 3, 4. I'd like to add on to this. Imagine that inhale coming from your tailbone. Inhale up the spine. We have 32 or 33 vertebrae in our spine. Create space with the inhale between each of those stacked vertebrae, all the way up to the top of your head. Maintain that space and exhale through the nose, coming back down the spine, one vertebrae at a time, and surrendering into the chair and into the earth. Relax the shoulders. The full attention's on the breath. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4. Please continue. If you notice that you're caught in a thought or an emotion or a sensation, congratulate yourself for noticing and come back to the breath. Inhaling new oxygenated fresh air. Exhaling the old and anything that no longer serves us today. Just exhaling it away. Any thought, person, place, or thing that no longer serves you. Few more on your own. Making audible inhales and audible exhales. The practice is to return your awareness to the breath. Last 3 breaths. As you're ready, start to blink consciously, the eyes open. Find that drishti point if you haven't got one yet. And take a moment to reflect. Did anything shift from when we started to breathe to when we finished the intentional breathing? And if you notice anything that you'd like to share, please put it in the chat room. This is that process of self-inquiry that we invite practitioners to engage in, to come to know ourselves and befriend ourselves so we can choose to respond as opposed to react habitually out of habit. Self-reflection. So what is this yoga? As I mentioned earlier, yoga started 5,000 years ago. These are the classic yogis, the masters. I would invite you to consider that yoga is a way of life. Radically change perception from recreational physical activity to a way of life. Yoga is composed of 8 limbs, one of which is the physical practice. Another complete limb is meditation. Another complete limb is breath work. Another complete limb is concentration, and so on and so on. Yoga changes you, and I say this because it changed me, and therefore changes the way you relate to other people and how you influence your environment. For more than 5,000 years, human beings have practiced yoga, the 8 limbs of yoga. It's a lifestyle, a practice of self-inquiry, self-care, personal development, and more. So what is this trauma and diversity informed yoga? We want everybody to be able to participate. So we modify yoga with invitational language. We tailor the pose practice with modification options. We invite constant self-inquiry and reconnection to your body. We encourage you to make your own practice choices. Do I go deeper? Do I back off? Do I lay down in Shavasana? What is it that my body needs right now? Trauma involves the experience of having someone or something else in a position of power attempt to assert control of your body. As a result, many trauma survivors have experienced a somatic sense of helplessness, disconnection, isolation, and disassociation. The practice here is to learn to be with and to interact with our own bodies in such a way that we come to know what works best for us. We build tolerance for discomfort. We learn to surf the fluctuations of the mind. And in doing so, we learn to meet suffering with deep, radical compassion, knowing suffering comes and goes. And we learn to meet great joy with unattached gratitude, knowing that it comes and it goes. The priority in yoga and trauma and diversity informed yoga is to teach you to listen to your bodies and make choices that involve taking care of yourself. Reconnecting with what's going on in your body, your sensations, your emotions, your thoughts, learning to become the witness of your emotions, thoughts, and sensations without judgment. Yoga develops the ability to get clear information from your body rather than mediated through faulty perceptions that may be caused by trauma and is actually encoded in your brain. Trauma can reestablish the neuroplasticity of the brain. Your body needs to learn that the danger has passed. You can learn to experience without fear and reaction and learn to be tolerant and still. Making yoga inclusive, accessible, and with equity. How can a physical yoga practice be accessible to everyone? What if I'm visually impaired? What if I have glaucoma? What if I have a traumatic brain injury or disease? How do I have a safe physical practice? Well, we remove barriers to participating in physical yoga by making movement available, lying down the whole time, being in a chair, using the wall, using blocks, using pillows and blankets. We learn to ask for and use support. We invite you to go at your own pace, listen to your body, and make decisions about what your body needs. All you need is a chair and your body to take place in this next practice we're going to do. So I'm going to back up a little so that you can see me on my chair. So I would invite you all to find a chair. Soon you're sitting in one. And Katie, you can give a shout out if I need to reposition myself. I tested this earlier. So we're coming back to that chair.
Joe, can you stop your screen share while you teach this part?
Sorry?
Can you stop your screen share while you teach this part so we can see you nice and big?
Pause it.
Yep.
How do I pause it without stopping it?
You'll have to hit.
You have such confidence in me. And then I'll pin myself. And thank you, Katie. That's a much better idea. Okay, I'm on my chair. My sit bones are firmly planted in the seat. My palms this time, for our breath work, we had palms up to receive energy. This time, play with setting those palms down to ground. And go ahead and grow your roots in the soles of your feet. Flex all 10 toes towards your shins. And on the exhale, bring down both baby toes, both ring toes, both middle toes, both index toes, both big toes. Not easy to do. We're going to use our Ujjayi breath again, but we're going to unite it with movement, which is another definition of yoga. So come into seated mountain pose. Anything that we can do standing, we could do seated. Anything that we do seated, we can do laying down. Yoga is accessible to everyone. So we're going to, I've got some space constraints. So we're going to inhale the arms high, bring the palms of the hands together, exhale through Anjali Mudra or prayer pose, back to mountain pose. Inhale, arms up, palms together, exhale, mountain pose. Inhale, we're going to come forward on both forearms, on the thighs. We're hinging at the hip flexors. On the exhale, you can widen your feet a little bit. We're going to do a seated forward fold. So the upper body falls between the legs. Your 12 to 15 pound head will help lengthen that spine. And we're going to inhale from tailbone all the way to the crown of the head, lengthening between each of the vertebrae. Exhale and surrender deeper into your forward fold. Uttanasana. One more breath here. Our forward folds calm the fluctuations of the mind. To come up, we hinge up with the hip flexors, come back to where we started, sit all the way up. Arms up, goal post those arms. My candles, goal post those arms. Shoulders down, away from the ears. Send the shoulders and the elbows and the hands and back of you. Lengthen the front of the heart, the back of the heart. This is a heart opener or a back, safe back bend. This reduces anxiety and depression and is a counter pose to our forward folds. Inhale, arms up, palms together through Anjali Mudra, mountain pose. We're going to get into the hips now. Plant that left foot into the earth, bend that right knee, put the right ankle on top of the thigh. Use your right palm or your forearm in that right thigh. Feet are always flexed to protect the knee. This is a restorative pigeon pose. We restore trauma in our hips and our shoulders, and in any part of our body is possible to store trauma. So we're going to inhale, lengthen from tailbone to crown. Exhale, my right forearm, I'm inviting that right thigh to open, trusting in the process. It'll open organically when it's ready. Using my breath to inhale, grow tall. Exhale, release. Then we'll gently put that foot back on the ground. We'll take it to the other side. Every side's different. Again, my left forearm, or you can use your palms on the inside of the thigh. My right foot is flexed. I'm going to inhale, grow my torso so very tall. Exhale, and invite that right thigh to open ever so gently, never forcing, listening to my body. Coming back to the breath, inhale, grow tall. Exhale, let go. We'll put that foot down. And we also, you're either prone to having hip issues or the shoulder area for discomfort. So I wanted to teach you something for those who get tense in the shoulders and neck. Arms out, right arm under left, cross over, and you can grab your shoulders, or you can come into a complete eagle twist. See what's comfortable for your body. Lower those shoulders, engage the core. Inhale and lengthen the forearms away from you. Really getting into those shoulders. Exhale and raise the palms. One more. Inhale. Forward. Exhale, surrender. We'll unwind and we'll take it to the other side. Left hand under right. Either grab those shoulders, or for those of you who have access to a full eagle, lower those shoulders. Inhale, lengthen from shoulder to forearms. Exhale, raise the elbows and hands. One more. And release. Left arm up over that right ear. Inhale, lengthen all four sides of the neck. Exhale. And invite that left ear to the shoulder, lower the shoulders. Because we are peaceful warriors, we feel comfortable and courageous in supporting ourselves and befriending ourselves. I'm going to leave the neck where it is, and I'm going to support that left cheek with my left palm, and I'm going to raise the head using the support. Other side, cover the ear. Inhale, lengthen all four sides of the neck. Drop that right ear. Inhale, lengthen, release. Then support that right cheek and have your right palm bring you to an upright position. I invite you to close your eyes, take one or two breaths to see what you are aware of, what's going on inside. And I would invite you to, if you want to share in the chat room, if you had any shifts or became aware of anything. Remember, it's not good, bad, right, or wrong. Okay, I'm going to go back to sharing. Let's see. Okay. There are all kinds of trauma, including racial trauma. We've had a social justice revolution this year. And although similar to post-traumatic stress disorder, racial trauma is unique. It involves ongoing individual and collective injuries due to exposure and re-exposure to race-based stress. One of our practitioners said, "I am weary of yoga because I don't see anyone who looks like me. I feel marginalized and I have PTSD from racial trauma. I am fearful to go out alone. I am fearful of being pulled over by a policeman. My well-being is so fatigued and compromised because racial trauma causes hidden wounds in addition to psychological and physical effects. I am invisible. I don't matter." Well, all Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Meditation and mindfulness are huge tools. Not only do we have the self-regulation with breath work and the physical movement with asana, mindfulness is the process of giving your full attention to choosing to be aware in the present moment, and this will liberate you. Meditation teaches us to attend to what is taking place within without reacting, and this will liberate you. So we're bringing yoga, diversified yoga, to all ages, all colors, all body types, all backgrounds. Mindfulness, meditation, and yoga help us to find safety and refuge in our bodies that have for far too long been the recipient of multiple forms of oppression and trauma. By practicing radical presence, being in the moment, one breath at a time, it's a practice that will honor our own passions and aspirations, putting us back in our heart center. We will learn to feel at home in our bodies again, with no desire to leave them. When we feel at home in our bodies, we feel at home in the world. We are going to do a practice. This is our last practice. I can't believe it, I'm on schedule to the minute. And this is our root grounding meditation. There's two classic trauma influenced meditations. One is the root grounded meditation. The other one is the mountain meditation. So I chose root grounded, and anyone who would like, we can email you this, this meditation. So I'd like to invite you now to your third practice with a guided meditation. So if you want to lay down, lay down. If you want to be in fetal position, be in fetal position. This is your body, your practice, your decision. What do you need in this moment? Invite you again to close your eyes. If my voice in this guided meditation does not resonate with you, just drown it out like white noise and go to where you need to be. But we're ending our time together, this precious, precious day of Live Well Advance with the root grounding exercise. If you are seated, root your feet flat on the ground. If you're laying down, just root your heels, root something on the ground. Notice your soles and the sensation you feel. Notice how your feet feel with the connection they have made. Rest your arms gently by your side. Scan your body slowly for areas of tension, areas of unrest or stress from head to toe, from the ground up. Maybe you notice your head or neck is tight. Maybe you notice your shoulders are held high. We're just assessing, we're not changing, we're becoming the witness. Let go of any knots in your stomach or your heart, soften. Relax your arms. Relax your hands. Let go of any knots in your stomach or your heart. Relax your glutes and legs. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Just relax. Now notice your breathing. Is it fast and labored? Again, we're just being a witness here. We're not changing anything and we're not judging. Maybe your breath is already slow and steady. Take a moment to become aware. We'll begin to focus our control on our breathing. Let's do this 3 times. Breathe in deep and breathe out, pushing the air through your nostrils. Through the nose, breathe in with awareness. Through the nose, breathe out with strength and purpose. Last time, breathe deeply, pulling the breath into your stomach, feeling your rib cage and lungs expand. Now breath out, pushing the air out of your lungs, out of your nose, out with strength. Breathing in awareness and breathing out with strength. Let's add another element to the breath. Imagine roots as if your body is a tree. Let your legs and the soles of your feet descend as if they are the roots of a tree. Your feet extend deep, deep into the ground, deep into the core of the earth. You may notice you have very thick roots that firmly pull you down. Roots that connect you to the energy and strength of the earth. You may have some thinner roots that spread out to cover more area, ensuring more security and abundance. Now breathe up through the roots. Move your breath from the soles of your feet up through your calves and thighs. Feel the breath move through your legs up to the core of your body. Let your tree grow up through your ribs and shoulders. With your out breath, relax your arms and neck. Feel the inhale in your throat and let it expand into your head, relaxing your brain. Relax your forehead. Relax your thoughts. Imagine with each inhale, you are extending the roots up to the crown of the head. Feel your energy move from the soles of your feet up through your head and into the sky. With each inhale, notice the cleansing energy come into your being. With each exhale, release all of the tensions in your body and negative thoughts in your mind. With your next inhale, feel the power of the earth move through the roots of your feet, up through your stomach and heart to the top of your head. With your out breath, gently release this stress. Let it go into the air, let it go into the sky. From the roots deep in the center of the earth, draw energy up to the crown of your head. If you get distracted, just notice your thoughts and let them go. Accept your distraction and then draw your attention back to the soles of your feet, your roots, strong and powerful. Notice your breath. Notice the energy you draw from the core of the earth. There is abundant energy. As you breathe out, let your stress and emotions escape into the atmosphere. Continue to breathe deeply. Pull the energy from the center of the earth. Feel the energy cleanse your body. Feel your exhale releasing the tensions and worrisome thoughts you carry. You are encouraged to continue this breathing until you are relaxed. re-energized and free from stress and tension. Breathe in deep from your roots, from the soles of your feet. Pull in the energy the earth has to offer you. Allow this energy to spread throughout your body and allow your stress to be released from the crown of your head. When you are ready, as you are complete, please start to shift your awareness back to the soles of your feet. Notice how the ground feels below your body. Notice the connection your feet have made with the earth. Be aware of the energy the earth has given to you. Bring your awareness to the strength and relaxation that you might now embody, even if it's just a tad. Bring your awareness to your roots and to the connection you have made. You're invited to bring this energy and peace with you throughout your day, possibly into your evening, and maybe even take it to bed with you tonight. Take as much time as you need and slowly come back to a seated position if you've left a seated position. If you want to stay where you are, if you're getting some great rest and this is what you need, you're just your choice. So I wanted to close our time together by making a radical appeal to you. My appeal to you is, can you make time for your self-care as if your life depended on it? To the extent that we care for ourselves is the extent that we can care for others. The extent that we can give ourselves unconditional love and forgiveness is the extent that we can provide that to others. OG stands for original greatness. We all have it in our heart center where our love resides, and our unique skills, gifts, and talents that make each of us uniquely us. We invite you to come home to your essence. Remember to take time to breathe intentionally throughout your day. Remember to take time to unite breath to movement, to gain new perspective and new space. Remember to be silent in mindfulness or meditation, going beyond the mind and experiencing your essential nature of peace, happiness, and bliss. Practice being still and examine what is within yourself to attain the highest of all joys that can ever be experienced by a human being. Meditation is a practical means for calming ourselves, for letting go of our biases and seeing what is openly and clearly. From my heart to yours, namaste. So as you're ready, I would encourage you to use the chat room, and Katie will start to relay some information. So I'm going to stop sharing now.
All right, thanks, Joe. Yeah, please drop in the chat any questions that you would love to have Joe answer. I'm gonna pose a question to you, Joe, while we have those roll in, just to get us started. So with the trauma of COVID specifically, it's a little bit different because it's something we're waking up to every day, and it's been, many months. And so how does that kind of compound trauma affect our bodies, and why is trauma-informed yoga especially important in that kind of situation?
Yeah, COVID's crept up on us like a great oppressor that no one saw coming. And nor do we have information that, the information is constantly developing and we're constantly reacting to the information. So this will have a tremendous toll on our immune system. And we want to strengthen our immune system. We don't want to get sick. We don't want to feel fatigue. For many of us who fight chronic fatigue syndrome or I'm a cancer survivor. Anybody who has a history of a compromised immune system is especially compromised. So coming back to these tools of coming home to ourselves and self-regulating ourselves with intentional breathing, intentionally uniting of breath to movement, and intentional mindfulness and meditation, whether we listen to it on a podcast or we just get still with ourselves, find your way. And if you just start with 1 minute a day, set the timer, maybe 1 minute a day for meditation, and build that meditation practice up. Build your Ujjayi breath up. Ujjayi breath has been shown to increase the immune system. And as we create space in our spine, as we age, we're less susceptible to back problems and back injury and back pain, which most of America suffers with at all ages now because of our disposition of being seated. Being seated is not natural for us. We want to get up and we want to move. Maybe even do a mindful walking meditation in your house. Find your version of what works for you. Does that help, Katie?
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah,
we have a good question from Becky, and Veronique also shouted that question out in the chat. So, different groups of people have been affected in very specific ways from COVID, taking the example of students who haven't been able to go back to school, parents who never intended to be homeschooling, now facing that for months. So how can these practices be adapted to help parents and students?
Well, we're all suffering because we don't have a say in what's changing in our lives. So if I've had to leave my outside the home occupation and as someone helping to contribute to the income of my household, if I've chosen to leave that because I'm going to stay home and homeschool kids, the kids are stressed, the parents are stressed, and we are bringing virtual recess to all the kids and parents that are at home every day at 3:00. They get a 30-minute recess with OG Yoga. But everyone, any age, any ability, if you find yourself, like for me, my hardest times are the morning, and I actually numerically score my fear level, and I numerically score my anxiety level because I wake up with both. And based on what I've scored, I decide what my self-care regimen is going to be that day. So I might be in my Ujjayi breath all day long, and I might be mindful all day long to react to a high score that I've given myself. I may take some things off my calendar. I may just be more compassionate and loving of myself. I might ask for help because I'm aware of a high score in this particular day. That would encourage me to ask for help. And coming back to my yoga practice, for me, is my best medicine. As a 2-time cancer survivor. What else? What else have we got?
Okay, still have a few more minutes, so anyone still online, feel free to drop in your questions if you have any. Joe, can you give some advice to our group, just kind of next steps on how to deepen this practice of compassionate and healing yoga?
Yeah, the first thing is to embody it for yourself. It's really a form of, it's called a practice because we come back to it each day and we make mistakes, and each and every day we try it fresh. So embodying a practice for yourself, being radically compassionate with yourself, learning to become a witness to what's going on with yourself, finding that mix in your day that gives you back some regulation. So I had a hard, maybe this is an example, I had a hard time, I just wanted to eat lunch in my garden every day, like stop what I was doing, be mindful and eat my lunch and not multitask. It took me about 2 weeks to train myself to do that. I couldn't do it. I'd be eating in the garden and I'd run and go get my phone because something came up for me and it was important and I needed to make a note or text that person. And I realized how hard it was for me, a practitioner of yoga for over 20 years. For me, it is a lifestyle. And so it took me a long time to train myself in COVID to have lunch in my garden, as that was my priority, without doing anything else. I'm wondering if any of the lovely 44 people on this call, do you have ways that you'd like to share that you have found that have helped you cope? Or what are your toughest challenges?
As they answer that question, Joe, I have another one for you. So Jimmy spoke a little bit in the chat to kind of the distinction between trauma-informed yoga and other forms of yoga out there. So can you kind of
Yeah.
speak to how trauma-informed yoga is different than maybe some classes you might walk into?
Yeah, trauma-informed yoga, it was studied in the 90s that talk therapy wasn't curing trauma survivors. And so they found this heart rate variability marker. It's a very well-known marker that changed how we look at trauma, that trauma is literally stored in the body, and re-talking about it continues to embed it in our brain and in our tissue and in our muscles. So they came up with the idea of yoga because that is so physical. So this is the Trauma Center in Boston. And so they did a yoga class, but 60% of the people didn't come back. And when they interviewed them, they found out that they didn't like that yoga. It was authoritative. It made them feel incompetent, just confirmed ill feelings about themselves. So they dramatically changed it. And trauma-informed yoga is radically, that's my word today, is radically different from what you may have experienced in a studio. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with a studio class. I'm just saying for someone who is a trauma survivor, if lights go out, if music comes on, if teachers are walking behind them and putting their hands on them, they get triggered and they never come back. So the principles that trauma-informed yoga, the domains of trauma-informed yoga is we offer invitational language. We're facilitators. We practice with you. We do not leave our mats and walk around the room. You need to know where I am, where any of our OG yoga teachers are. We generally practice in a circle. We need to know that no one's behind us. Literally, that no one's behind us. So we practice in a circle. When space doesn't permit us to set up in a circle, we have 2 lines against walls. No one's in back of you. You can feel safe. We do not typically play music. We don't know what music was playing at the time you were inhumanely violated. So we're not going to impose music on you. We're going to introduce you to the music of your breath. And we radically offer modification. So typically in our trauma-informed classes, we can have a person who's coming for the very first time to a very buffed athlete who's been practicing yoga. Our job is to make it adaptable to everyone in that class. So we would offer, for instance, tree pose at a very modified level against a wall, all the way up to the full balance. And we would progress, and you get to pick where you're at. And I, as a teacher, always stay at the most basic. If I have one person in a wheelchair in my class, I stay on a chair. We want everyone to feel honored and safe. And also, a big domain in trauma-informed yoga is something called conscious relationship. Very important. So if we're teaching children, we need to know about children. If we're teaching children, we need to know the difference in developmental differences between elementary school, middle school, high school, and continuing education up to 26 years of age. If you are a military veteran, we need to know about the military and how you're sent home and what programs are available to you, and that you might have PTSD. You probably do. You might have a traumatic brain injury. You probably do. You're living in your fight, flight, freeze nervous system. So if a firecracker goes off, you're going to hit the asphalt. So we really need to have relationship with who we're with. And even if I don't have that same experience, I'm not going to pretend that I do, but I'm going to feel with them for what they've been through. If that makes sense. So we have yoga for healing on Thursdays at noon for people facing pretty intense disease, and some are at end of life. Our teacher is completely skilled for dealing and honoring people with disease and at the end of their lives, and teaches a class to find comfort in their hearts and to hold space together as a community, even though we're doing it virtually. So that's conscious relationship.
All right, I think we have one more question. It should kind of segue you into the last thing you wanted to say.
Yeah,
so
we're right on
Magdalene,
schedule.
yeah, I know. Shocking. Magdalene is from San Diego, and she was asking about resources to refer to her clients. And we've already had several of our team kind of message back with her in the chat. So she might have already got the answer, but I thought that could segue you into your close.
Yeah, and I've been referred to somebody from, say, San Diego for a possible partnership, because what OG Yoga does, we have 3 distinct but very interrelated programs, how we deliver our services. One is creating community partnerships with nonprofit organizations and governmental correctional facilities and mental health systems, the government organization, where we did bring, now we do it virtually, our yoga, our trauma-informed yoga directly to your folks virtually as a partnership. And I will look back on I've got notes. I think the woman who I've been asked to contact from, say, San Diego is in charge of the alcohol and drug abuse and nicotine area. I don't know if that helps. But yeah, we would love to talk to, say, San Diego, get to our youth, get to our future, our legacy. If we can provide these tools for our youth and change their trajectory before they turn 18, we can avoid homelessness, violence, substance abuse, and incarceration. But we've got to get to them before they turn 18, and the younger the better. So in our recess, we teach those kids of 6 years and up. Our second program is our school. I'm sorry, I spilled my water. Hang on. We run a certified yoga teacher training school for overcoming trauma through yoga. And we also run a 30-hour continuing education workshop multiple times during the year for those instructors who are trained to be a yoga instructor, but don't have this trauma piece. So we're helping to create diversity in this field with informing teachers. And lastly, we opened our studio so that we could have continuity from our graduates from our programs would have a place to come and practice with us. We opened on January 12th and we closed on March 6th, but we did turn everything virtually with this great team that OG Yoga has here today. Does that cover that, Katie?
Yeah, that's great. And you have about a minute and a half left, 2 minutes to invite everyone to our booth.
Okay, yeah, if you want to come over to the virtual hub, we have information there on recess, I think, Katie, but maybe not. We have our annual report for 2019. We have our studio schedule, and we have narrative. And then I'll be there. And I believe the whole team's going back to the hub. So I invite you to join me at the hub. And I cannot tell you how honored I am that you came to this presentation, for your interest. And please, please practice self-care and let us know how we can help. Thank you.